As you all know, Disney CEO Bob Iger is a very busy man right now between handling the Disney Star Wars movies and TV shows, as well as everything related to Marvel and just Disney in general all at once. And the biggest thing of all is that he's really trying to mend the overall Star Wars franchise and really kind of just bring it back together again to really not only reunite the fans, but to also keep the franchise very steady and successful and just climbing and climbing year by year. And the way to go about doing that is that he's allowing John and Dave to do whatever that they have to do by all means necessary to really kind of just make Star Wars back to the way it used to be. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now that brings us to Bob Iger and the whole Gina Carano situation that happened back in February of 2021. It's crazy how it's basically been 2 years already. Time just flies by, right? So we already know that Bob Iger has been very much talkative to not just the Star Wars community, but to everybody around the world about his goals, what he's trying to do over at Disney when it comes to Marvel, Star Wars, you name it, stuff like that. The thing that really gets me the most, though, is what he recently had to say about Gina Carano and the whole rehiring strategy that's being put into place by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Now, we already know that they tried to get her back for Mando Season 3. Those plans fell through and did not work out. But the biggest plan of all is to get her back in for Mando Season 4, which is actually still happening. It's still working out, and Bob Iger was able to really elaborate and respond to all of this. So let's dive right into this. Now, with many new Star Wars TV shows currently in the works, creators Jon and Dave Filoni are beginning to develop a whole slate of Star Wars projects that will be announced this year and next. However, in a recent interview that Disney CEO Bob Iger took part in, he went on to respond to rehiring Gina Carano and bringing her back to the Mandalorian franchise. Here is what he had to say to the fandom. Looking back a couple of years ago, I will admit that we handled her termination very poorly, and it should have been handled in a very professional and private way, and I do apologize for that getting out prematurely the way that it did. Myself, as well as Jon and Dave, have been having discussions with Miss Carano on what we can do with her in the future, and let's just say the conversations are looking good, and I can't make any promises, but we are trying to create a remedy and resolution to the past situation that happened 2 years ago with her involvement in Star Wars. So let me just stop right here for 1 second, alright? Now, for those of you that are out of the loop, the reason why everything related to Kathleen Kennedy firing Gina Carano got out of hand is because she did it not in a private way, in a public way. So basically, it got out onto Twitter, it spread across the board before Gina Carano even got a proper phone call or even a proper email at that. She found it through Twitter hashtags and the like. And that's the worst way to get, fired or just laid off. I mean, could you imagine that? You're an actress, you wake up to Twitter and it's everywhere. But when we look at how it was handled in such a terrible way that people looked at Disney in such a different light back then. Because let's face it, guys, Disney owns Lucasfilm, right? They own the company. It's not how Kathleen Kennedy just did this and how it represents Lucasfilm, but it also represents how Disney managed Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy at that. And that really kind of turned off a lot of people. That's why a lot of people walked away. It wasn't just the fact that she was fired. It was how she was fired. And the way that she was fired was just something that you would have never expected to have seen from such a big company like Lucasfilm, or even Disney for that matter. So that brings us to Bob Iger, alright? What he's saying here is that there is a remedy in the works, there's a resolution being worked on between himself, Jon, and Dave. It's not going to be for Mando 3, it's looking to be for Mando 4, as we had already discussed through those leaks that we talked about, of how there's already a lot of storyboards and concept art showcasing a newly designed version of Gina Carano's Cara Dune. And that really is a telltale. The thing about this is that it all rests on Gina Carano on whether or not she wants to even come back. It's really her call at this point. And it makes you wonder, is she really going to push the button and say, okay, let's do this, or is she going to back off and stand her ground and say, you know what, you treated me the way that you treated me, I'm going to stick where I am. So it'll be interesting to see exactly which side she takes, but for now, behind closed doors, she is rehired for Mando 4. It's just a matter of her accepting that, and she has to accept it by this April before they begin actually, producing the actual new season. So anyways, the next thing I want to dive into here is that he goes on to elaborate. There is a lot more going on than I am able to say, but just know that we are working on resolving this entire situation. We have realized how many fans support her, both as an actress and as a person, and we may have made the wrong decision the way that we did and only want to make things equal for everybody. And this is something that we are working on every single day for fans around the world. It's something that we have been deeply sorry about the way we let her go and are trying to fix things around this very big community. So, obviously, Bob Iger, this is an act of desperation. There's no doubt about it. This is an act of desperation. It's damage control, of course. I don't really believe that Bob Iger is doing this out of, pure being, very generous or anything like that. But, at the same exact time, at least, they're allowing John and Dave to do what they have to do. Now, the thing about Gina Carano as Cara Dune could very well be a big, successful point for Mando Season 4 to up the ratings. It would not only be a good marketing move for Disney, as sleazy as that may sound through Disney's perspective, using it as a marketing tool, but I can see where Bob Iger is coming from. I can see what he's really up to. I don't think that he really cares about Gina, to be honest with you guys. I think that the Disney board and even himself realize that this could very well be a good marketing tool. Like, Gina Carano is back, Cara Dune is back, that whole big thing that you remember back in February of 2021, it's now resolved. That's what they want to actually create the headlines as. So, it's a marketing tool, there's no doubt about it, so that's the one thing that I find a little bit sleazy about this, is that it doesn't seem like Bob Iger is coming off as being genuine with bringing Gina back. It sounds more like it's going to be used as a way to up the ratings. But anyways, that's just my 2 cents. The thing about this too is that John and Dave are the passionate people. They actually want Gina back, in a generous way, or in a way of open arms. Just as a person, right? Not as a marketing tool, not as a way to kind of just benefit or anything like that. So there's a lot of things going on, and we'll keep you guys in the loop. But anyways, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon,